What's next for you? What's new on the horizon? Disruptive innovation has big scale potential for us. And my friend, the Christmas dynamic is ultimate disruptive innovation. I'm glad you're with us for episode 43 of Jesus Smart the podcast. The horizon we're questing after is that Jesus knows how life works best in the now, and the future not only belongs to him, it's already showing up in the present. Disruptive innovation is a concept from the business world. Something new and innovative disrupts what has been and introduces something never seen before. The ultimate disruptive innovation was birthed in a little town outside Jerusalem roughly 2,000 years ago. Welcome, friend, to our mini-series on Advent. Christmas time is here, and maybe the possibilities of Christmas are accessible 24/7, 365. Friend, how are you doing this Christmas time? And as you anticipate a new year, I want to talk with you about the ultimate disruptive innovation, the Christ child, the dynamic of the incarnation, the mergence of heaven and earth in you, through you, flowing out into your personal world and even beyond that, into the world at large, your circle of influence. Disruptive innovation is a concept from the business world. Something new is created and it's innovative, and it disrupts what has been and introduces something brand new, something that's never been seen before. And as a result, everything is changed. A lot of value is created. But this concept is not limited just to business. It works in our personal lives too. Do you want to go deeper with some of this? There's some resources on the show notes page, some links to a couple of articles that may help you think about this, and then you can just transfer those ideas into your personal life and even into the realm of being a Christ follower, an apprentice of his kingdom. I'm saying that the ultimate disruptive innovation is the Christ child being born and how that has transformed history and how it transforms our lives. Now think about this just for a moment. The transition from chaos to creativity. Chaos to creativity. See the Creator back in Genesis 1 and 2 moving over the waters of chaos, drawing out design, drawing out beauty. It says in Genesis 1, 2, and 3 that the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And then God said, "Let there be light." Can we see God as King, creating and multiplying infinite value, fathomless value out of nothing? Jesus is truly creativity without limits. In John chapter 1, verses 3 and 4, John says that all things came into being through him, through Christ, the Logos, and apart from him, nothing came into being that has come into being. And in him was life, and the life was the light of men. This is what God does in our lives. What seems chaotic, what seems even sterile or barren, he creates out of that nothingness and brings forth his design and his beauty. The ultimate disruptive innovation flowed out of a little town outside of Jerusalem approximately 2,000 years ago, Bethlehem. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, the Christmas carol, you know. But consider this, is there anything about the birth of Christ that is not disruptive or inconvenient and even innovative? It was the most misunderstood pregnancy in history. Right. God conceived this child in her. Joseph had to receive revelation from God just to get over that. I mean, consider, it was scandalous, but that is disruptive innovation. Consider that an imperial decree from Rome sent everyone to the city of their birth for a census. It was a 90-mile donkey journey, just as Mary was nearing delivery of her child. That's disruptive innovation. There was no place for the birth once they got to Bethlehem. The Christ child was laid in an animal feeding trough. Disruptive innovation. The initial birth announcement was given to the lowest strata of society, the overnight shepherds. Disruptive innovation. The religious elites were unaware of what was happening. All of Jerusalem was disturbed. A crazed, demonized Herod, the king, was trying to kill the Christ child. All of this taken together is ultimate disruptive innovation. It upsets and supersedes the status quo, and everything goes to a new level. Now, flowing from Bethlehem into our time, there's absolutely nothing like the Christ child. And now, beyond that, the ascended Christ who reigns and is filling all things with his person and his royal authority. There's nothing like it to disrupt and innovate what is, so that what can be will come. Now, what about you this Christmas time and all year long for that matter? Are you surrounded with a good dose of chaos? I know at times I am. We can rejoice with the angel armies in those Judean skies when they made the birth announcement of Jesus to the shepherds. You are perfectly positioned, my friend. Embrace, celebrate the ultimate disruptive innovation of our Creator God. It's a pattern. It's a beautiful, mysterious pathway toward an increasingly bright and hope-filled future. So how should we live in the true spirit of Christmas all year long? Let me give you 4 points. Number 1, the knowledge of the Holy One sustains us. Know that God purposes to work from chaos to design to beauty, from chaos to design and beauty, and rejoice with expectant faith. Have a knowledge of the Holy One that He sustains us. Number 2, welcome the Holy Spirit to overshadow your person and your situation. Honor the Spirit. Welcome Him and facilitate the flow of the Spirit's life through worship, through the Word, through obedience. Do nothing to quench His person and capacity in your life. Welcome Him just as the Holy Spirit overshadowed Mary and conceived in her the Christ child. Welcome the Holy Spirit to overshadow your life on a daily, weekly basis to not only facilitate the increase of Christ's presence in your life, but all that Christ wants to do in you and through you. So welcome the Holy Spirit to overshadow everything. Number 3, listen for the creative heavenly word to come to you. Just as the Holy Spirit overshadowed Mary and the Word came into her and was incarnated, birthed, conceived in Mary, listen for the creative heavenly word to come within that context of the Holy Spirit's overshadowing in your life. Honor the message of the Word. Write it down. Continue to give attention to it. Focus on the promises. Listen to what God says to you through the Word and even personally. Listen for the creative heavenly word. And then number 4, obey. Just as Mary said, may it be unto me according to your word. And she began to practically walk out the reality of what God was doing, what God had said. Obey. Courageously flow and move forward in heaven's disruptive innovation. And as you do, as I do, more will come to us as we move in what God is doing. So the knowledge of the Holy One sustains us. Number 1. Number 2, welcome the Holy Spirit to overshadow your person and your personal world, your domain. Number 3, listen for the creative executive. It is an executive word that comes to you. God, when God sends His word to you, it comes with success. It will be fulfilled. It's built into the word that comes to you. And then number 4, move in the Spirit, move in the word, move in the knowledge of the Holy One who sustains you, and obey. Flow with God. Get into what we could call the God flow. That's where the hope is. That's where greater horizons are at. That's where the potential is at. My friend, just as we see the Spirit and the Word over the original waters of chaos in Genesis 1, and as we see the Spirit and the Word overshadowing Mary, creating in her and facilitating the incarnation, the Son of God, a member of the Godhead coming into the earth, the incarnation. So we too, my friend, can call for heaven to bring fresh life, fresh design, fresh beauty, and innovation in our lives. It's the Christ dynamic. It's the Christmas dynamic. It's the merging of heaven and earth in us, through us, into our personal world, into the world at large around us. And my friend, it is ultimate disruptive innovation. Ready yourself for transformation. Is not the incarnation, the birth of Christ into our world, the highest level of disruptive innovation? It's ultimate disruptive innovation. Jesus is the ultimate entrepreneur, if you will. He has more in mind for us than we can know. So position yourself for the Christ potential within you and through you, and I'll seek to do it with you. Thank you, friend, for rating, reviewing, and subscribing to this podcast, iTunes, and other major podcast apps. It's also on YouTube and Spotify. It helps others to discover the content, to see if it's a good fit, plus it keeps you connected. You can also share this episode directly from your favorite listening app. Visit JesusSmart.com to see the show notes page for this episode. You can leave thoughts and questions there. You can reach out through the contact page, and you'll find there sometimes, many times, additional resources to dive deeper with the theme for a given episode. Plus, you can sign up to receive a free weekly email for next level ideas and kingdom practices to advance as a Christ follower. As always, with Jesus, our horizon is smart, it's brilliant, it's a royal narrative. Make it a royal week. All the best until next time.